I hereby welcome you all to a very interesting session titled You Have Been Framed. So enjoy the session and let us know your feedback. To you all, just make sure your mask is up throughout the session. There is social distancing. There are 2 fire exits at the back, and I hope you enjoy the session. We'll be showing you clippings of our sponsors. So enjoy. Thank you.
What do we mean to endure? Is it what is still popular, or what is still relevant, or is it something else?
You tell me. I think it's all those things. So, I also would like to think about it as the art that stays with me after I've encountered it. What am I still thinking about when I get home from my museum visit? Which are the works that stand out? I'm in a bit of a difficult position on this panel because I write about contemporary art, so we haven't really had the time to see which art will endure, over a sort of much more historic time frame.
One more thing. Tell your child a story. Don't just say, this is a painting of a woman's back. Tell them the story that Lucinda said. Let it stick in their mind, because I think there is nothing more powerful in the world than a story. And when you say that to a child, versus just saying, look at that painting, it's beautiful, I think that helps. And as for one painting I would buy, I wouldn't buy one. I would probably build a museum for and about art from this region. I would do that.
Welcome to all the kids, mommies, daddies, our wonderful audience, and our distinguished guests. So are all the kids ready for the session? Give me a thumbs up. Wow. Okay, so very warm welcome to all of you to the Emirates Airline Festival of Literature, and get ready for a very interesting session and some protocols for you to follow. Just keep your mask up throughout the session and keep social distance. There are 2 fire exits at the back, and keep your phone on silent. That's it. And let's start the session and let's get the ball rolling. Okay, enjoy the session, and we will be putting some clippings of our sponsors. Enjoy that as well. Thank you so much.
No? Okay, let's have one more guess. Young lady there. It's creativity! No. I think I'm going to have to tell you, aren't I, what Dubai is famous for. Can you all see this screen behind me with my picture of Dubai, yeah? Well, Dubai, I can't believe you don't know this, actually. This is weird, you don't know. Dubai is famous for aliens. You didn't know? You didn't know? Look, Dubai, there are more aliens in Dubai than in any other place in the whole world. I can't believe you didn't know this. Do you know, do I have to wear these? Peanut pulled the school-issue plastic safety goggles over her head and let the elastic strap snap against the back of her skull. Safety first, so you last, replied Rockwell, pleased with himself for remembering one of their science teacher's many catchphrases. Right, let's do this. Where's this pencil then? Peanut pulled it out of her blazer pocket and handed it to Rockwell. He cradled it with both hands, as if it were the elder one, and slowly lifted it up towards the light. Peanut thought she could hear the Hallelujah chorus playing somewhere. It's beautiful, he said, in a Becoming a children's author. Now, I don't know if maybe it wasn't a straight line. There was a few ups and downs in there. But the main thing that happened was, I didn't give up. And I kept on practicing. And I really worked hard to achieve my dream. So my message to everybody here today is, whatever it is that you want to be when you grow up, whether it's a humanitarian lawyer or a ballerina, whatever it is, you can do it as long as you're determined, you work hard, and you keep on practicing. So there we go. Right. Of course, I always try that. Shut up. You want me to try and pick up the apple because I've drawn it with a magic pencil? Should I tell her? Should I just put it just here in front of this bag? Here? Don't look too closely, you. Okay, you ready? I'm just going to see if this pencil is magic after all. Doesn't have to be done, I promise, okay? Just going to reach into the picture. Just to find this bag. Oh. Okay, here we go. I'm reaching into the picture. Oh my goodness. Quite a few hands go up. Well, I'm going to tell you now that everybody can draw. Some people just need a little bit of help with the order that we do the drawing in. And that's where I come in, because what we're going to do now, we're going to break this drawing down into little bite-sized pieces, okay? So I'm going to draw a little bit here on my piece of paper here, which you'll be able to see on the screen behind me. Then I will pause and you just copy what I do, okay? Don't worry if yours doesn't look exactly like mine. As I said earlier, there is no right or wrong answer with art. The worst thing you can do is screw your drawing up and start again. Just keep on drawing. As long as it looks a little bit like mine, you're going to be fine, okay?
Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to our distinguished authors and wonderful audience. Let me all welcome you to an interesting session of Uprooted, Building a Writing Community Away from Home. And our guests for this session are Deepak Unnikrishnan, Farah Ali and Noor Naga. And the moderator is Sarah Hamdan. So I hope you enjoyed the session, and there are certain protocols you need to follow. You need to put your mask up at all times, keep social distance. There's a fire exit there, and if you need any assistance, I'm sonalbchhibber, the manager here. You can get in touch with me, and we'll be showing you short clippings of our sponsors. So enjoy the session. Thank you very much.
And when I first began to write, I wrote a novel that was set in Dubai, and it took me 5 years, and I rewrote it many times, and it was a similar sort of experience to what Deepak is describing, of having very little precedence, never having encountered a word that's set there, so you're really learning how to describe basic things, like, you know, what do the streets look like in Dubai? Well, they're actually pretty distinct, you know, with the palm trees and equidistant points and the flower beds encircling them and the grass. You have to sort of begin to find language for the architecture, what it means to live in a compound, what it means to go to a particular kind of school, what it means to have a mall, be the social outing.
Short fiction, again, not with the goal to write a book, I started living in Dubai by that time, 2006, and so all the stories that are in the book were written while since that time, but they were all about back home. They were all centered in Pakistan, in Karachi, which is where I grew up. And I think that distance somehow helped me grasp it better. I could sense what the weather would affect a person's psychology, and what if there is a riot somewhere. But that would be in the background, but I was able to see what effect that would have on a family.
What it was I was trying to do. So what I can tell you is Temperate People is a work about someone trying to remember. People who aren't used to being remembered, especially in this part of the world, where a significant part of the population are made up of folks from elsewhere. So that's what I'd say. I wrote it for my parents. I didn't know I was doing that. I admit it now because the book is a few years old. But at the time, I thought I was writing it for myself. But at the end of it, what I was saying is the work was made to remember my parents so that they would understand that I knew what happened to them when they were here.
She stared at Sam and then she yelled, "Where is my favourite salsa? What a stressful day!" Sam got up. This speaks volumes. Sam got up. He was wearing his jacket, so he felt like a boss. He opened his mouth and blurted out something. Emma was angry.
I'm missing my Barbie doll. I want to dress her up. When will this lift open? I want to go.
What has happened? I need to go home to make tea for my grandchildren. They are coming from their swimming lesson.
in a world where you're instantly and instinctively writing on a keyboard. But I think there's something to be said for both. I think writing with a pen puts your brain into a slightly different gear, and I think it's definitely worth doing. And sometimes you get over it with a few deep breaths, but sometimes you have to stop and walk away. And honestly, the best ideas I ever have, tend to come to me when I'm nowhere near a notebook or a laptop. When I'm doing something else, when I'm in the shower, when I'm driving the car, when I'm washing up, when I'm walking the dog or going out running, then I have, oh yeah! And then all I've got to do is try to remember it. I do sometimes wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat about all the things I came up with and I didn't write down and I forgot to. Stories that would have been brilliant if I could remember them.
Also, I write books and all, but when it comes to teaching my children to write, I mean, today I found your, the sheet you gave very helpful because it had some writing prompts. So I want to ask, like, for starters, the beginners, the children, do we need to give them writing prompts like this to get them started off? Or should we just tell them, okay, write whatever comes in your mind and how does it work?
It depends on the child, but I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when you're children, and most of them are here, I think, we'll find a way to just get going anyway because they're so inspired.
Right.
And you as an author know this is probably burning inside you. You have to write it down.
Yes.
It has to be done.
Right.
And I think every child is different. Everyone is going to find something that will help them in a different way. Solange.
Everyone, this is sonalbchhibber and we are about to begin the session, Motherhood Struggles, so stay tuned. Good afternoon everyone. Let me all welcome you to an amazing session of motherhood, the joy, struggles and taboos, and our distinguished authors are here with us, Hala Kazim and Pragya Agarwal and the moderator Sally Musa. And I'm your host sonalbchhibber. Let me welcome you all. Certain protocols which you need to follow. Put your mask up during the session. Keep social distance. There is a fire exit there. And just enjoy the session. Thank you.
The media, do the media have something to answer for? Like, how do we stop this kind of a conversation and direct it in a new way? How do?
I think, if I may go to the very important point both of you said, who am I? If I take away my kid, a husband, who am I? I think the first journey for a man and a woman, take the labels out. Nobody's telling you to go and break the world. I'm just saying, break inside, check. Go under the layers, go and dig, because it hurts. And a lot of things are, we do it, like, you're holding you don't even feel it. You go things and you're programmed. And when you talk to a woman, it says, I'm very convinced. Is she really? I mean, it's even to me, I'm talking about
hold of other people and we judge them according to that. And then once they acknowledge that, we have to do the consistent work to unlearn them. It has to be
Everyone, so we'll be starting with another interesting session, so stay tuned. Good afternoon everyone. I'm sonalbchhibber and it's my honor to welcome you all to a very interesting session, and we have our distinguished guest David Randall to take you through the session, and I hope you enjoy the session. Certain protocols for you. Make sure you put the mask on throughout the session. Keep social distancing. The fire exit is at that point, and we'll be running a short video of our sponsors, and after that the session will start, so enjoy. Thank you very much.
So in that context, I have to ask, why are you in the position to write this story about Saudi Arabia? Why you? Why this book? Why now?
Well, I wrote the book. That's an interesting question. It's the first, and I would imagine the only book I intend to write. I was having dinner when I was a chief of mission in Riyadh. Two of the former ambassadors, very, if you will, famous in the Foreign Service, Dick Murphy and Walt Cutler, who had both been, you know, very senior people. They both retired long before this, and they had been very senior when I was very young. And they said, you know, David, you're the only person who's done what you did, which is to say, serve 15 years in one country, be the head of the economics.
So, as you know, we are starting with another interesting session, and we have one of the authors with us. So, could you tell what the session is all about?
Sure. Hi, my name is Tanya Daud, and we are looking at the ways in which gender is represented in different forms of storytelling across the subcontinent, India and Pakistan primarily.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, all you people just join the session virtually, or you come in person, and look out for this interesting session. 4 lovely women sharing their stories.
And one guy.
And one guy also. Okay, stay tuned. A very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Sonalbchhibber, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all and our distinguished guests for this interesting session, Desi Dramas. So stay tuned and enjoy the session with these 4 amazing ladies, and certain protocols for you to follow. Wear the mask throughout the session, keep social distancing, keep your mobiles on silent mode, and the fire exit is at that side. We will be playing a small video of our sponsors, Emirates Airlines. So enjoy the session. Thank you very much.
Brilliant questions, but I think to write any characters, female or male, first of all need to be an observer. I personally believe that. So I rely a lot on observation as a writer. So I think what we see, we can definitely turn that into words. So that I think is very important. Having said that, yes, you always have to have I wouldn't say sensitivity to readers as such, but it's always good to have a writing group. So if you have writer friends, they can always guide you as to whether you're right or wrong in this particular aspect or chapter or whatever.
Or even self-empowerment. It came right from the beginning in the way my mother raised me. She knew of feminism without being a feminist, or knowing that there's something called #feminisms, feminist poetry. So her feminisms were very simple. They were like, you know, you are no less than boys, but more than that. And it's a reason why she said that is because we had, you know, cousins whom my grandmother favored a little bit. It wasn't, you know, it's not like some big thing. It's not dramatic. These are these tiny little things, invisible little things, tiny things, which now is called #microaggressions. In those days, we didn't have any hashtags. So it was just this. So she would always tell us that you are no less than boys, but more than talking about just girls and boys, she also instilled in me this idea that you own the world. Somehow, and I grew up with that when I was studying in my small town Kalyan, that I own the world is mine.
So that's why Kisabo came about. For me, it's coming from a family where we have multiple perspectives in terms of my father, my mother. It became very important because even with regards to India and Pakistan, you have very one-sided narratives. You know, Indians think a particular way about Pakistanis will think a particular way about Indians at times. So I just felt like I'm very blessed to be in a position where I have access to certain things and I can do something in storytelling. Also, when I think about South Asia, because for me South Asia is not India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. It is the entire region. You know, so we're really trying to bring in multiple languages. For me, all of this matters a lot. So with Kisabo, it's important that we develop a more pan-South Asian outlook. You know.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all and our distinguished poetess and author who will be conducting a very interesting workshop, poetry workshop for you all. So I hope you all enjoy. Certain protocols you need to follow. Put the mask up throughout the session. Keep social distance. And the fire exit is at that point. And you have to put your phones on silent. And we'll be now showing you a short video of our sponsors, Emirates Airlines. And after that, the session will begin. Thank you so much. Hope you all enjoy the session. Have a great day. Thank you.
Arab poets of the desert, it would arise for ceremony, for sacred ritual, for blessing. So how did that sort of split off, How did that, why has poetry gone off into, why do people believe it has to be academicized? When actually, what I believe is that poetry is our mother tongue, is humanity's mother tongue. So this is the idea, it's sort of the liberation of poetry, your poetry, from the page. So it doesn't have to just be something you do in a university. So Shiba's telling us about therapeutic uses. You're telling me about how it's just come to you. How did it just come to you? Why did it just come to you? Because it's a natural human language. Poetry, and it doesn't matter what language you speak, poetry has its own language.
Known terms. So I'll be reading a short poem from that book itself. So it's titled, I Am a Fighter. I fail, but I fight back. I have made many mistakes, but still I am a winner. I have lost, but I am not a loser. I have fallen, but still I am back on my feet. I have been surrounded by a crowd, but still I am free in my spirit. I have been hurt, but have come out stronger. I have made some wrong choices, but still have chosen the right path in the end. So no matter how close I come to giving up, I just rise again and blend. My mantra in life is to live and let live. We all are here to love, share and give. It's high time. Excited for the workshop? Hello everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all. I'm Sonalbchhibber, and it's my pleasure to welcome our distinguished guests and a lovely audience for a very interesting workshop, creative workshop. So certain protocols I need to tell you. You need to put the mask up throughout the session, and you have to keep social distancing. The phones should be on silent mode. The fire exit is at this side, and we will be playing our short sponsors video of Emirates Airlines, and after that the session will begin. Okay? Enjoy the session. Thank you very much.
Them any importance, and we don't always do something with them. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean you have to smell something or see something and think, oh, I need to write a short story, I need to write something, I need to take a picture and write a caption? No, this is all emotions and stuff and energy that you're digesting and thinking about. That one.
Stephen King has a really great talk that's available on YouTube where he talks about where he gets his ideas and inspiration from, and how he doesn't like to carry around a little notebook to write down like a little thing. So some people will recommend that you carry a notebook around, and when you hear some interesting conversation, you can't think, write it down. And that's one method. Stephen King, or what style you like most. And with writing, what I've come to learn is that sometimes you get stuck. So whether it's at the beginning when you don't know how to get that idea onto the page, or in that middle where stories tend to get a little bit soggy and you don't know how to keep that momentum going, or at the end where suddenly the climax isn't as exciting as it should be. So sometimes taking yourself out of that and writing really random creative stuff like prompts today.
That we're not calling prompts.
Non-prompts.
But I think other than, in addition to getting stuck, a lot of the times you're dealing with not just the words, but dealing with this imposter syndrome of, can I do it? What is this book? And am I wasting my time? And I remember specifically with my first book, I used to write, what am I doing? Is this a waste of, like literally, if you see my first draft is, what are you doing? Is it, okay, nobody types like this, but is this a waste of my time?
Yeah, hi. I just want to ask something like the books we write sometimes, and if we want to self-publish them online, like on the Kindle version and not really have the paperback. So what is the procedure for that? I mean, if we want to just, not go to the publishers and have it self-published and have an online copy, How does it work? Thank you.
I mean, neither of us are self-published.
Okay.
But I think you just have to check book. This is the layout. I want it to be printed, and they print it in a printing press, and then they sell it. And they go to Kunikunia, and they ask for the book to be there, and then to each their own. Everybody has their own writing journey, whether it's self-publishing or Random House or whatever the publishing house is. It's just a matter of you and what feels right, And again, Emirates Lit Fest is.
So I started off really not writing policy papers because I really wanted to figure out why is it we didn't have more women ascending to the top of corporate America. Because when I stepped down, people said, why don't you replace yourself with a woman? Very fair question. But they never ask a man who steps down that same question. Even though only 8% of seats are held by women CEOs, they only ask the women, why don't you replace yourself with a woman? But it caused me to sit back and say, why is it women leave about the second or third level in a company and not stick around for the long journey to become a CEO? And that led to a certain set of conclusions. But then I also chaired Reopen Connecticut for post-COVID. And I realized that we had a different set of issues for the essential workers. Just as for women, they left because they didn't have a care infrastructure to support them when they wanted to have a family and keep a job. The essential worker, am I scared of the future?
Were you ever scared of
Were I scared? Every job that I took, I was terrified. Outside, like the duck on the top, very calm, underneath the water, it's rowing hard. That's how I felt. Every job I came into, every day that I was a CEO, I would have a little fear at the pit of my stomach because the whole world is watching you. You've got a quarter of a million people working for you, 250,000 people in PepsiCo. All their families and their livelihoods depended on how this company was being run. All our bottling partners, our suppliers, our customers, we had to do right by all of them. And so if you don't have intellectual humility and an adequate amount of fear when you take on these jobs, then you're becoming too arrogant and cocky. So it's very important you have that humility and fear factor in you.
A lot of girls who are still unable to go to college or university or that are married off at a young age. So what advice do you have for those girls, and what can we do as individuals to help them?
I think one of the most profound changes that has to happen in society is educating men and men in power. To say that women deserve an equal place in society. Look, when you give birth to a daughter, you don't say, I just gave birth to an unpaid laborer for life. That's not what you say. How many of you think that way? When you give birth to a daughter, show of hands, how many of you say, I just gave birth to an unpaid laborer for life? You don't do that. Yet, when you stop that girl child from going to college or school, when you force marry the girl child away to a family where you know that is my husband. He believes, I believe, that family is not female. Family is both of us. Many people believe family is female, so they delegate all the responsibility to the woman. But more remarkable than my husband is my in-law family, who believed that I should keep working and they were going to lean in to support me. My in-law said that to me at the wedding, and they've repeated it ever since. And they keep saying, we are very proud of you. And you know why they do it? Because my husband said very clearly, my wife is going to keep working. She was highly educated when I married her. We both agreed she's going to keep working. So don't you even think about her quitting the job. So it's the responsibility of the husband to make it very clear to the in-laws that they are not to treat the daughter-in-law badly. So there's a profound education of men that has to be done on this topic. Chicago doing a summer internship. He was in Chicago working, and in our group of summer interns, we always were short one guy. So, some friend said he's available to fill that guy's slot. And I didn't even like him when I met him. So I went through the entire summer not liking him, because I thought, somehow I thought he's just not my cup of tea. So the end of summer, all the interns went back and I had one extra week to finish up my project. and we both went to see a movie, and we came out of and the movie was a movie that doesn't even have a kissing scene, I want to tell you. It's called Silver Streak. It's a comedy by with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. They don't kiss or even hold hands, these two guys. So there's no romance in that movie. We come out of the movie and we both decide to get married. So there was no strategic decision making. My husband says, because you told me we should get married. I said, no, you said so. So we're still arguing there. And he's whisked off himself. Maria Schreiber is a newscaster. She's brilliant. She's fantastic, well known in her own way. And she says, I'm sitting in the van for 10 minutes. Nobody comes to me. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger is the focus. And I say this to you because in most meetings where they say spouses have to be there, I tell Raj, you're a partner in a consulting firm, but I need a spouse this evening. Could you please come in? The guy will fly in from wherever he is. With his bags, he leaves it at the reception, and he'll come to the dinner. We both will walk into this dinner. In 3 minutes, they whisk me away to say hello to people and make a speech. At the end of the dinner, I'm going, where's my husband? Imagine if you're in his shoes, okay? He has to fend for himself. And he did a brilliant job fending for himself. And so I think that a lot of the credit to keeping us together and making sure that everything worked well, women are held to a different standard. So my version of the foul mark was going into my bathroom, shutting the door, saying, God damn it, how could it have happened? You know, this is unacceptable. A couple of tears come down, tears of rage, not tears of failure, tears of rage. Then once it's over with, a little bit of makeup, come out saying, just keep going. Do I have regrets? I used to have regrets, now I've overcome it all, saying every time you have to make a trade-off, every time you have to choose between spending time on A or B, what you choose you feel great about, but what you didn't choose you always have some regrets about it. But it's how you overcome it and carry on that determines whether you have resilience and courage or you're going to be wallowing in the past. With that,
distinguished guests, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, these
talented Mira Sethi, a Pakistani actress and writer. She attended Wellesley College at Oxford University and studied English and South Asian Studies. She also worked at the Wall Street Journal as a books editor prior to writing her debut book, a collection of short stories called Are You Enjoying?, which are set in Pakistan, and the book launched in 2021. She's also a popular actress starring in Pakistani television series. So to start off, I'd just love to ask you have a background in journalism. Your parents are journalists. What attracted you to the world of fiction?
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. It's so nice to see unfamiliar faces in the crowd. By the author Sharon Strayed, who wrote the memoir Wild, which some of you may have seen. It was adapted into a movie later starring Reese Witherspoon. And she said, when you get to know someone's story, it means that you are saying that you refuse to be unknown to them. And this idea, this refusal to be unknown, was very powerful. And in writing this collection of short stories, I wanted really to bring to people who are interested in Pakistan with a kind of lowercase p. Because Pakistan with an uppercase p is Pakistan you read about in newspapers, you hear the larger geopolitical situation, and this book is really a book of secrets, Hafsa. It's about how people love and live in Pakistan, and the complicated and secretive and playful ways in which they improvise identities to get by when they have a superstructure above them, which is the state, which is involved in a lot of policing, a lot of surveillance, a very established sense of how to live. And so my characters are kind of navigating culture in a way. And this book is really a book of secrets, Hafsa. It's about how people love and live in Pakistan, and the complicated and secretive and playful ways in which they improvise identities to get by when they have a superstructure above them, which is the state, which is involved in a lot of policing, a lot of surveillance, a very established sense of how to live. And so my characters are kind of navigating navigating culture in a way that they're trying to throw off the straitjacket that's imposed on them by conventional society. So that was just, I wanted the colloquialism to be up front and center, to give the reader a sense that, you know, you're going to get a real glimpse of South Asia and Pakistan specifically. And to your other question, it's a really good one. I think that, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot because I was living in San Francisco until October. My husband was working at Berkeley, and this Vogue essay that Hafsa mentioned was basically about how I felt very emotionally isolated there. I was living in the lap of luxury, I was living in San Francisco, and my husband had a great job, but again, this goes back to my experience in the US 10 years ago, I kind of felt alone. And when I started getting a manicure every week, I thought, oh no, something is wrong. Like, what am I doing with my time? Like, this is not me. And so we moved back to Pakistan. So the question I think I've been asking myself is, A, what is it that you want to do with your life? Like, who are you? What drives you? And B,
Ben went over to the window and peered out. Bring! Ben's heart nearly missed a beat. It was only the doorbell, but if they let Mr. Parker inside, he would see all the evidence the police would need to send Ben and his granny straight to prison. Don't answer it, said Ben, as he ran to the middle of the room and started stuffing all the jewels back in the tin as quickly as he could. What do you mean, don't answer it? He knows I'm at home. He just saw us through the window. You answer the door, and I will hide the jewels. Me? Yes, you! Hurry! Bring! This ring was more insistent. Mr. Parker had left his finger on the buzzer for even longer. Ben took a deep breath and walked calmly through the hall to the front door.
Style, looking as if it could be home to a family of vampires. But the cruel school was home to a very different type of monster. The world's naughtiest children. Lara was not one of them. She knew the difference between wrong and right. Silly jokes are not a crime, but now she was about to find herself living side by side with the naughtiest of the naughtiest. These kids were going to be absolute horrors. The boatman tied up the boat to a rock, and Larka scoured the island for some steps that might take her up to the castle. There were none. Instead, the longest rope ladder in the world dangled down. The boatman gestured for Larka to climb the ladder. The waves were lashing against the rocks, causing explosions of spray. If you say so, she said.
I think also the ability to lose weight while eating my spring. For a superpower like that. Yeah, I think flying. I don't know about living forever. It might be a bit boring after a while, mightn't it? But flying. What about you?
Oh my goodness.
Or being invisible?
That would be handy, wouldn't it?
It would be handy, but it's a bit open to abuse, that one, isn't it?
Yes. No, I like the ice cream one. I'm doing that one.
Okay.
Thanks for coming out on a Sunday morning.
Inattentive subtype. Piglet, generalized anxiety disorder. Owl, reading disorder. Eeyore, persistent depressive disorder. Tigger, ADHD, hyperactivity and impulsivity subtype. Rabbit, narcissistic personality disorder. This is my favorite one. Christopher Robin, lack of parental supervision, possible educational problems.
World inside there, and children for years have been climbing up the inside of this tree. There's like little handholds, you can climb up all the way. So she climbs up all the way up the inside of the tree, and she comes out inside the snow globe on her bedside table. And she's suddenly inside. Do you love snow globes? I mean, I'm just fascinated by this. She comes up inside this snow globe, and suddenly she's in this magical fairy world. So I'm loving writing that story at the moment. I feel like I'm living inside her. Snow globe.
On behalf of Emirates Literature Foundation, I welcome you all to a unique session of uncharted stories with our panel of distinguished guests and moderator. I hope you enjoyed the session. Do let us know your feedback and some pointers for you all. Please keep your mask up during the session, keep social distance, and keep your mobiles on silent mode. And there are 2 fire exits at the back of you. And I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. هذه المسألة الأولى. ثم أريد منك أن تلقي الضوء على دور النشر بما يسمى بأدب الطفل. وكونك يعني رسامة وكونك مهتمة بشأن أدب الطفل وصاحبة دار وأيضا لك تجربة في يعني عملية النشر بشكل عام. أريد منك أن تلقي الضوء على هذه المسألة.
الحقيقة أول شيء شكرا للحضور وشكرا لحضرتك على الاستضافة. هلا بالنسبة للنشر الذاتي بالنسبة لي أنا يعني هو شيء كثير مألوف لأنه أنا أول ما بلشت.
You can add it as a rice alternative, and I think if you have the willingness to be creative, there's so much opportunity to be so, and in our region there's so many ingredients, and actually this is what I love about traveling and living in so many countries, is that you have access to so many alternative ingredients that you wouldn't have thought about using.
My books, some of my books, not all of them. Blackbird Fly was my first book, and then we see We Dream of Space at the bottom right, which I'm going to talk to you about today, and a few of my others. Those Kids from Pond Creek on the bottom left comes out in March, and then Lalani of the Distant Sea in the bottom center there is my first and only fantasy. So those of you who like to read fantasy might enjoy that book. My other books are realistic fiction, but that's one fantasy that I wrote.
On your worst days, when the world has been most cruel to you, when things have gone so wrong that you can barely breathe without 1,000 knives feeling like they're stabbing into you, and you feel like you don't matter, that none of this matters, I hope you look at the night sky. I hope you realize that in that moment of looking at that incredible tapestry before you, that you are not alone.